Hello, everyone. Hope you all are having a pleasant morning. This webinar is initiated by Prime Talent Limited. It was incorporated in the year 2016 in the heart of London to address the growing challenges in the talent supply chain, to create a strong pipeline of talent. It is revolutionizing talent to empower organizations for the current and future business cycles. Prime Talent believes in taking action to unlock the untapped potential of the emerging workforce, a hub for all things talent related, leveraging a decade of expertise impacting professionals worldwide. Prime Talent has hosted several webinars, each catering to incredibly insightful and beneficial career related topics. Such is the topic of today, that is women in tech, breaking barriers and shaping in the future. I am Ekta Gupta, behavioral skills trainer for Prime Talent and today's host. We have come together to deliberate on examining the current landscape for women in the tech industry in UK, the key challenges faced by them entering and progressing in tech careers, strategies to build confidence through continuous skills development, work-life balance, and potential solutions, roles of government and employers in promoting gender equality alongside few other significant points. I'm delighted to introduce our honored guest, Rhys Owen, who brings over 20 years of experience in supporting those furthest from the labour market into sustainable employment across England and Wales. He has accomplished invaluable certifications from Institute of Employability Professional, advice and guidance, and career coach in addition to partnership manager. With a multitude of experience in employability and working with groups and individuals alike, he possesses a great understanding of the UK employer and recruitment economy with the best practices for increasing employability prospects amongst individuals from a variety of backgrounds. Certification in mental health first aid adds to his approachable persona and empathetic attitude as he has his own struggle tales to share, which has enhanced his ability to help others break negative cycles with employment prospects. Alongside, I have and I welcome Ibtisame, a Prime Talent AWS Restart, that is Amazon Web Services Restart Program alumna and software engineer, who will share her journey and insights on navigating a successful career in tech. We are thrilled to welcome you both and look forward to a meaningful discussion. First, could you please let us know more about yourself? Restarting with you, please.
Hi, good morning. Thank you. I'm delighted to be here today. Thank you for the wonderful introduction. I'm blushing a little bit already, so thank you so much for that. So my name is Rhys Owen. I'm from Wales originally. I moved to England about 10 years ago. But for the past sort of 25 years, I've been supporting people across DWP provisions across England and Wales and privately funded provisions as well. So it's all about supporting people from underserved communities back into sustainable employment. After experiencing that myself in my younger years, I feel that it's equipped me with the right tools and resources to support others to progress and reach their full potential really in work. So I'm delighted to be here today, looking forward to the conversation and how to support more females into tech. And thank you very much.
Wonderful to know. Thank you, Rhys. And a few more words from Ibtisame, please.
Yeah, hi, good morning. Thank you very much for the invite. I'm really excited about to share more insightful information about my journey in tech, which has been a bit challenging. So I'm originally from Algeria and moved to the UK about now 11-12 years ago. So this is where I did my degree and then come back and started my career in the UK. So it has been a lot of a challenging journey, moving country, within new language, new people, not knowing anyone, new industry, which is like there is not many women, to be honest, and it's still probably until now. This is what we are having this webinar up until now. So yeah, it's really exciting to see many women probably, or encouraging many women to get into tech. So yeah, looking forward to it.
Perfectly understandable. Thank you, Ibtisame. So starting with you, Rhys, like many others, I believe that our journey shapes us too. Can you tell us about your journey and what initially drew you to the welfare to work and support service sector? Furthermore, in your experience, what are the biggest challenges and opportunities within the welfare to work and support service sector currently?
Yes, absolutely. That's a great question. I've not had many opportunities to explain about my background, really, so I'm delighted to explain that today. I think, like a lot of people in their chosen industries, I actually fell into it at an early age. It wasn't sort of planned, anything like that, really, but I found that I sort of retained the skills and gained a lot of new skills to really thrive in the industry. So back when I was a youngster, many moons ago now, I'm in my 40s now, but in my my late teens, we did actually have a family-owned business back in Wales, which is a holiday park. Unfortunately, that didn't succeed. There was some decisions made by parenting managers which involved the split of our family, and it was a bit of a tragic situation, to be honest. That actually resulted in me being homeless, believe it or not. And so that was my first period of unemployment, where I was also looking for a new home. Believe it or not, I did actually have to sleep in my car one evening as well, whilst holding down a full-time job. So I've actually experienced a lot of those barriers that many people do experience from either underserved communities or negative circumstances. So I've had to develop that resilience myself in order to support people with the right tools and attitude to progress themselves. And one of my first roles after experiencing that was actually in welfare to work. As I'm sure a lot of attendees might be aware or might not be aware, the government's Department of Work and Pensions offer a lot of funded provisions to support people into work, and there's many different schemes and programmes. And one of those that I was actually referred on to in my first experience of unemployment. And after attending that programme, they must have seen something in me. They invited me to actually work for them and start providing those services as well. And I started supporting all the learners on the programmes I was delivering. And since then, I've sort of built on the experience with supporting people from many different communities across the UK, with England and Wales, and supporting them with the skills needed to, to stand above the crowd, so to speak, when it comes to, applying for paid employment. So that brought me to my move to Liverpool about 10 years ago, about 11 years ago now. And since then, I've gone strength to strength, working across a lot of prime contractors, as they're called, within a division. And now I've got the pleasure of working for a very unique opportunity called TechUp Women with Catch 22. It's a privately funded provision, and it's amazing. It's an amazing opportunity to be involved with this progression and transformative program, really, to help more women into the tech industry by acquiring new skills, confidence, and gaining new community links and networking opportunities. In terms of the biggest challenges within welfare to work and support services sectors, I'd say there's been a fair few, especially since COVID, as I think we can all agree, after lockdown and the experiences that people had and organisations had. It's been a very difficult challenge to marry up any disparity between UK residents and the roles that they're applying for. I'd say one of the biggest challenges is a lack of funding for some vital support services. I've worked on some schemes involving care leavers, young people that haven't had the opportunity to grow up with their families. They've had to sort of experience the social care system and foster care. A lot of the funding for that has sadly gone, which means there's less funded provisions for that particular demographic. But now it's great to see that there's more funding in place for helping more females into tech, which is a massive challenge in 2024 still. I believe we're going in the right direction, but there's still a lot more work to do as well. And I think one of the other biggest challenges, just to finish that off, again, we've made strides in the UK economy in terms of how employers advertise their roles, the language that they use, the environments they're trying to foster to promote more people to apply for their roles. I believe there's still a little bit of work on there to be done as well. Just to meet in the middle ground in terms of what people are looking for when they're applying for roles, job security being a massive one, and as well as what the employer's looking for in terms of how to better promote their performance based on flexible or hybrid working models, really. So yeah, I hope that answers the question. I don't want to be talking for too long to take up space for anyone else as well.
But your journey is a lesson in itself, indeed. Thank you. The data says, Rhys, that women make up just 24% of the UK tech workforce, with the Northeast potentially facing an even lower percentage. So what are the unique barriers that women face when entering the tech industry in the Northeast? Also, how do you think these challenges compare to those faced by women in tech nationally?
Yeah, it's a great question. So it would be difficult to pinpoint any one area. I'm based in the Northwest, but I do a lot of work in the Northeast as well. But from the work that I've done, I'm speaking to a lot of the residents who are both interested in, a career in tech and sometimes not interested. Sometimes people have their preference on the type of role they want to go for. And there is something that happened recently that stuck out in my mind, really. And as part of my role as partnerships manager, I attend a lot of career-focused events across the main cities across the North and the Northeast and the Northwest. And recently I was at one in the Northeast, in Bolton, and there was one of the residents that actually approached me at the time, and I thought they were very brave in doing so. And they mentioned to me that, oh, have you struggled to get a lot of people sort of interested in a career in tech in this area? And it was a little bit of a slightly slower day on the fair, I will admit. And obviously I was having an honest conversation with them, and they advised me that one of the reasons for that is possibly because in this area, blue collar jobs are quite prevalent in terms of, the manufacturing roles, production roles, warehousing roles, things like that. And it got me thinking, after doing a little bit of research, if that's the type of employment opportunities that are in the majority that are promoted in that area, it might explain why there's a little less of an uptake for especially females in tech roles as well in the Northeast. I think there are other factors as well, such as, where, even though there are tech giants based within the UK, it depends on where they're based. And as well as there being hybrid and flexible roles available, I think we can all agree there are a lot of roles that are still advertised with the need for attending the office, at certain times of the week, the presence needed at that local head office, and it depends where that lies, and it might affect someone's ability and decision to apply for those roles as well. And again, I think that underrepresentation for females in tech is a massive factor played in that as well. If there's not as many readily recognisable role models in the Northeast for females in tech and women in tech, then again, that plays a big factor in terms of how many people take up that challenge in wanting to pursue that career, especially if they're viewing themselves as the trendsetter, because you need to be a warrior and a bit of a brave person to be able to start that battle, really, in that challenge. So I'd say that there's definitely challenges with that. I think we're definitely going in the right direction. There's still a lot more work to do. But with my job, I enjoy supporting communities and employers as well in trying to sort of share those best practices in promoting that as well, really.
Quite informative, I would say. So as we know, everything evolves and tech industry isn't an exception. So staying current with the latest skills and trends is crucial. Can you share some effective strategies specifically for women in the Northeast tech sector to keep their skill set sharp and stay informed? Are there any Northeast-based programs or resources that are particularly valuable for women in tech to utilize for ongoing professional development?
Absolutely, yeah. So I think as of now, in 2024, we've got a multitude of programs now, especially in the Northeast as well. So I think that there's an amazing program with Prime Talent called AWS Restart as well, which is an amazing program. And we've also linked up with yourselves already as a referral mechanism so that we can signpost any completers for our program on TechUp Women as well, just to increase that opportunity to gain new skills. So as well as the AWS Restart scheme, I'm proud to obviously celebrate the program that I'm working on as well, called TechUp Women. We support all females in the Northeast, the Northwest and the North of England to acquire those new skills and qualifications to get into those roles with employers as well. And the beauty of applying for TechUp Women, if you're successful onto it as well, part of our support is that we also incorporate the help of employers, industry mentors, and with the help of a career coach and a dedicated tutor, we can support you with your next steps on your journey. And it's great to see all the females through our programme thrive as well, as I'm sure you'd agree on the programme with AWS Restart. So there are definitely more opportunities now than ever. I would say it's all about taking up those opportunities and building that resilience. Resilience is massively key in keeping that confidence level up and sort of taking away that risk of, imposter syndrome, which I think we've probably all heard of on the call today. So I'd say building resilience is key, and you can build resilience by practicing, knowing your stuff, choosing the path you want to go down, researching that, incorporating the support of your network as well. Ask for help where needed, gain feedback where needed, so you know where to improve your skills, where to gain some new skills, and by all means taking up any opportunity to gain those new skills. I think, again, we've all learned since the pandemic that as much as job security is there for lots of roles, we'd never know what's around the corner. So to equip yourself with the tools needed to either quickly find a new role, to climb that career ladder, and use those new skills to complement your own career and show an employer that you're worth the investment and you're worthwhile keeping within the business then, really.
I'm certain many are making note of it, Rhys. We shall continue our discussion. However, please allow me a couple of questions to Ibtisame, who seems as engrossed as I feel. So, Ibtisame, as an alumna, you have navigated the tech industry. What are some of the key challenges you faced as a woman in tech, and how did you overcome them?
Yes, definitely. So when I started, not only in tech, to be honest, since the first day when I got my baccalaureate and started joining university, I didn't have tech in mind, probably, which is surprising, because probably we all think like, no, tech is only for men, so it's not an industry that that women can choose as a career. And then it turned out that it's not only tech, actually, because I wanted to do aeronautic, which is afterward becoming a pilot, and maybe architecture as well. And for both, my family said no, because it's a men dominant industries. And I turned out everything wanted to do like medical science or something like that, which is more, or like teaching, which is like more for women, something like that. But I didn't, probably from day one, I didn't do something that everyone does or all women does. I want to be like a bit different, and I ended up choosing IT as I studied at the university. So again, from university, probably 70% of the students were male, and with only 30% as female. And we were always like feeling a bit, probably we're not as good as they are. We don't ask as many questions. We don't want to show off as they do. But that didn't keep me off, to be honest, finishing my career and be one of the best. And I ended up my master degree being one of the top 10 for like 210 students, I believe. And again, as Rhys highlighted, is like motivation, but the motivation comes at the beginning, but then resilience. You have to believe in yourself. You have to keep going. You have to practice. It's your knowledge that really talks by itself. You don't have to show to anyone. You don't have to prove to anyone. As long as you have the knowledge and you have the confidence, you are actually there. Again, I moved to the UK and I wanted to start my career in IT. And the first job ever I had, it's with a multinational NetUp, and it was a big mass recruitment when I started, and I was only woman, literally the only woman in the room with 72 men. So I was saying like, what? Where? I thought maybe, okay, in Algeria, but in Europe, it's a bit different or something like that. It was not. And I was the only woman recruited, and all the other ones were men. So that was with the multinational, and I worked there for 5 years. Again, in this as a compliment for the question that you had for Rhys, why we have only 24% of women in the tech industry in the Northeast, is probably as well to women being afraid to apply for tech opportunities. There were some studies that shows up that a woman will only apply for a tech job if she fits for 100%. If there is one skill that she's missing, she will never apply for that. While a man, if only fits for 50%, they will always apply for it. And not having that many applications, not having really that many people applying for jobs, it ends up, of course, like being a men dominant area. So the only thing that I learned on how to overcome is just to focus on my skills, on my knowledge, build on my confidence, practice and practice, because the only way you learn tech and you be confident is just to get your hands dirty, get there and do as much as you can. And the tech industry it's like how it's evolving at the moment. It's crazy with AI, everything that's going on, the cloud computing. I worked in IT industry for 8 years and I didn't know much about cloud computing until I joined Prime Talent, to be honest. I had very basic knowledge about cloud computing because I didn't touch on that area that much. So yeah, the only thing I can say, probably just work on yourself, build your confidence, build your skills, build your knowledge, and just try to seek every opportunity to learn. Try to find mentors, either male or female, connect with allies, connect with other women that had really a good tech career and they're now in managerial positions or something like that, but they really like went from the bottom all the way to the top. And you can see that these people did really struggle, but they did get there eventually. So yeah, it's just like having that confidence that you will get there anyway. It doesn't really matter. It's not about the gender anymore. We are in 2024. It's only about the skills and the knowledge. And don't be afraid if you don't have all the skills, because you learn by doing stuff. And this is how males do it anyway. So yeah, that was it.
All right. So nothing can beat one's experience as the guiding light, isn't it?
Definitely.
So as an AWS Restart program learner yourself, you have already given a glimpse at how training has shaped your career. Could you let us know more about what role did the program play in enhancing your technical skills and professional growth?
Yes, definitely. When I saw AWS program, I was not working. Well, I was the first time since I came to the UK and I started my career, I was out of the job market. So I didn't had a job, but I was not. I didn't think about joining any company. The only thing, because since I started my career, I've been doing a bit of technical support, a bit of storage consultancy. I did a bit of networking, but then I stopped and I thought, okay, I want to specialize in one area because it's getting really fast, getting big. I cannot keep up with all this at the same time. So I wanted to specialize on something and I had a look everywhere and it was cloud computing that I wanted. I decided, okay, I'm just going to dive in deep into cloud computing. I believe this is the future of IT. Everyone is moving to the cloud, even the non-technical people now are using the cloud. Like all our backups, our photos, our everything are on the cloud. We're not using the flash anymore, we're not using any like local storage. So I've decided, okay, the cloud is actually my next step, and I started looking for trainings or boot camps or anything that can really get me into know a bit more about cloud computing and how does it work. Unfortunately, because I'm not very young anymore, I cannot access apprenticeship, I cannot access this, I cannot access that. So Prime Talent was really the perfect opportunity because it offers it's for everyone, it's for free, it offers the certification at the end. Well, it's nice to have the paper, the certification, but it's more about the knowledge. It's more about the skills that you get. And I jumped on the opportunity straight away, sent an email saying, is it able to join? I had all the support from all the team, like from Michael all the way to Kunal to all. I cannot name them all, but really it was a very smooth process. The registration all the way to the start from day one to the end till the last day of the training, to be honest. So before joining, I had the really basic understanding of cloud computing, but really the comprehensive deep curriculum that AWS offers for the 6 weeks of the 3 months, sorry, of the 12 weeks, the 3 months of the program is really good. But my best part, as usual, was the hands-on experience that you get from there. You get to actually know it's not that complicated. It's not what I thought. It's like something I'll never be able to do, because you get hands-on on really real projects. So you can see yourself building your own application, building your own storage. You can see the results yourself. You build like real life projects that you can see yourself, and then you end up, oh, actually, this is not that hard. And this is the first part where you get your confidence back and say, like, actually, I can do that. I'm really confident I can do it. And it's quite manageable. I wouldn't say it's very easy. Just go and do it. It's a bit challenging. It needs some time. It needs some effort, but definitely it's something that everyone can do as long as they have the mindset and the skills and everything that AWS offer with the project. So that was my favorite part, to be honest. But moreover, the AWS offer as alignment. They focus on soft skills, on communication, on interviews. There is an after training employability support that gets you through the interview, that gets you through the CV writing, that offers you all the job opportunities that are on the market that we receive by emails. We register with partner companies. So whole experience was really amazing, and I would recommend to anyone really wanting to get into the cloud computing to jump on the opportunity and get there.
Thank you, Ibtisame, for sharing your substantial experience with us. Time to return to Rhys's prudent observation and sensitive insights. Rhys, I think you just mentioned about imposter syndrome in the previous answer. Many women in tech, despite their accomplishments, experience feelings of self-doubt and insecurity, often referred to as imposter syndrome. This can hinder their confidence and career progression. So what specific strategies can women in tech employ to combat such syndrome and feel more secure and empowered in their roles?
Yeah, absolutely. Another great question. So I think imposter syndrome is something that I'm not new to myself. I do suffer from some heightened anxiety at times. So I do especially sympathise and empathise with a lot of the women and customers I've supported over the years. I've been told I don't seem like I'm nervous. I think I just hide it very, very well. So I think that the strategies that I've employed for myself, they could work for a lot of other people. People might have their own strategies, but I can talk about sort of my experiences with that and what I've seen has supported my previous customers to this day, to be honest with you. So I've mentioned about resilience before, but I think the crux of it for me comes down to, if you're feeling unconfident in any one area, the best way to change that is to gain some more knowledge, challenge yourself, test your skills. Even if you have the ability to put yourself in a challenging situation, to test your skills in getting out of that situation in a positive aspect, problem solving using the skills that you've gained. And I think that's the real test of, do you have the ability to convey that knowledge in a way that you could, transfer that into a paid role, transfer that into a situation to solve a problem. So again, it's using the skills that you've acquired to build that confidence. And that's the best way of building confidence, is through success. And sometimes it can be hard to get success if you either fail at the first hurdle or fail at the second or the third hurdle. But I think the thing with failing, and that's sometimes missed with a lot of people, especially in 2024, is that you can gain a lot of learning and knowledge by failing. You learn how to pick yourself back up. You learn how to not be in that situation again. If you're one of the lucky ones and you always succeed at things, that's amazing, that's brilliant, and that will also help with your confidence. But the second you're put into that situation where you fail without the knowledge to be able to overcome that, that's when you're not as equipped as someone who's had to go through those challenges and learn to pick themselves up as well. So I'd always say, again, it's the same sort of support techniques I'd help as someone who's always looking for their first job, you know, trying to get over those nerves of lack of confidence and imposter syndrome by making yourself invaluable, getting that feedback from people to, you know, with constructive criticism to know where you need to work on to improve yourself. And as well, using your community and using your network, get that feedback, and, you know, be proud of your successes. You know, be proud of your portfolio, be proud of your CV. That's no one else's accomplishments, those are yours. And you might not feel like that. You might be the sort of person that you might need to hear that from other people before you feel it yourself. But over time, you will build that confidence with repetition, with gaining new skills, with making sure you've learned those skills intently. So even though it might not be a very specific strategy, I think people can develop their own strategies within that in terms of how they build that resilience. I mean, for me personally, practice makes perfect. I need to do things over and over and over again for me to feel confident at them. And again, some people have got the ability to do it once and feel ultra confident, but then there are others like myself that need to do it over and over again, really. So through those strategies, that will help you build that resilience, build that confidence, and build that knowledge that you do know your stuff, and that you're able to provide a value to employers, and you're making yourself invaluable with that as well.
That is quite perceptive of you, Rhys. My next question, though, it relates to gender pay disparity. The gender pay disparity in UK tech industry remains a significant issue, with reports indicating that women in tech, they earn approximately 16% less than their male counterparts. What strategies can be implemented to address and reduce this pay disparity?
Yeah, absolutely. Another great question. Quite a challenging question, if I'm honest, as well. So I'm not going to sort of pretend I've got all the answers for that. I think there are many different factors pertaining to gender pay disparity. And I think there are certain bodies and departments that have a lot of emphasis and a lot of responsibility to help change that as well, such as the government and the UK employment economy as well, just organisations and companies within the UK. I think one of the main factors that needs addressing in order to help with that is the underrepresentation of women in tech. Or, you know, regardless of the industry it's in, is the underrepresentation of that party. So specifically for women in tech, I think that the more we can work together as a community, as a country, as a government, and as a collective of employers and residents, the more examples of, you know, relatable role models in tech, and there are quite a lot. I think it's common belief that there aren't as many readily available, you know, accessible through, you know, immediate memory. But there absolutely are tons of, you know, strong female leads in tech. One I've had the pleasure of meeting through my work with TechUp Women is an amazing person called Professor Sue Black, OBE. She works for Durham University. Her story is quite awe-inspiring, to be honest, and I had the pleasure of meeting her through our TechUp Women programme fairly recently. And very much like myself, you know, started off with very humble beginnings, rags to riches, so to speak, and Sue is incredibly humble still to this day, and incredibly passionate about supporting more women in tech. She heads the Science and Technology Department in Durham University, so I would implore anyone to have a look at her story. It's very interesting and very inspiring, especially for those lacking the confidence to succeed. And, you know, Sue's got that mindset, very much like myself, that if we can do it, anyone else can do it. You know, everyone's got the ability to do that, really. It's just helping on those first steps on that journey. Oh, sorry, you're on mute, Ekta.
Do pardon me, thank you. So I would say that, gear up, ladies, we have some strategies to implement. My next question is absolutely what many would be happy to learn. Building a successful career in tech often relies on strong mentorship and supportive communities. Can you elaborate on how important these elements are specifically for women pursuing tech careers in Northeast? Are there any mentorship programs or communities within the Northeast that have been particularly successful in supporting women in tech?
Yes, absolutely. So again, I'll mention about the two programs that we mentioned earlier. So the AWS program Restart with Prime Talent, and as well as the TechUp Women program that I'm proudly working on as well. We both deliver mentorship programs as well. And they're catered towards making sure they're specific for the choices that people have made as well, such as if you want to learn more knowledge and insight into navigating corporate culture as a female in tech, then we can specify that type of mentor with our program as well. So there are definitely opportunities out there regarding the importance of mentorship and communities and networks, especially for aspiring females in tech as well. I can't emphasize enough the importance of that. And I think, to me, it goes back to sort of historical values of why we have mentorship within, societies and cultures. And the reason for that is because the older generation would tend to impart that knowledge onto the newer generation, to make life a little bit easier, so they're not going through the same hurdles. And I think with females accessing those mentorship programs now, it's about informing the current and the next generations. So by gaining those new skills and trying to increase that volume of women who have gained those new skills and confidence and resilience, then they can impart that knowledge onto the next generation, and that carries on and that grows, and hopefully it increases the volume of relatable role models in tech, strong females in tech, making waves within the UK. And I think that that'll be a byproduct of more women accessing the mentorship programs, more females accessing those skills, acquiring those skills, building their confidence, and then imparting their knowledge onto the next generation as well. It's one of those things that it will only work if we all take part in it and we all carry it on through the ages as well. So I'd say it's ultimately important for people to access those mentorship opportunities. Those skills might not always be there. Obviously, when people apply to offer their skills through mentorship programs, they're there for that time, and then we're always going to need a new generation of people imparting those skills. So yeah, that's my very long-winded explanation of why I think mentorship programs are extremely important.
I wouldn't call it winded at all. It sounds wonderful, rather. Although I want to add that the demanding nature of the tech industry can present unique work-life balance challenges, particularly for women. So within the Northeast tech sector, what specific factors contribute to these challenges for women compared to other industries? And what concrete strategies can people or can companies in this region implement to create a more supportive work environment that promotes a healthy work-life balance, again, particularly for women in tech?
Yeah, absolutely. Another great question. So in my head, I've thought about this in a bit of a strange way, but I'll explain it now. So the work-life balance emphasis, ever since COVID, I've flipped that on its head. So when I'm supporting, females into tech roles, or any resident into a new sustainable paid role, I've flipped that by calling it life-work balance, purely because I think the emphasis on life needs to come first. And I think that's something that we've all sort of experienced through COVID, especially in employment, with either redundancies being rife at the time, and employers struggling as well to obviously keep workforces and thrive in that challenging climate at the time, really, especially in the UK. So I'd say to keep that healthy life-work balance, it's about setting your priorities. And I think, again, when it comes to job advertisements with employers, it's been able to analyse those and really gauge the information from that in terms of, is this the sort of employer I want to work with? Will they support me? Will they allow me to thrive and to obviously provide the best performance I can, given the undulating nature of, could be home circumstances, whether they be with, young families, young children to cater for. And I think the 9 till 5 historic approach to work is sort of it's quickly and it's still slowly getting out of the industry at the moment and society. Now with the advent of technology in work, we've got roles that are available to work, throughout the night, throughout different times of the day. It could be early morning starts, it could be late starts, depending on what the role is. So I think that there's more opportunities with that, but that also brings a set of risks as well. In terms of the challenges specifically faced by females in the Northeast, again, very difficult to answer with concrete sort of information and evidence, but I'd say the flexibility required for a lot of hybrid and remote roles at the moment has both seen a lot of opportunities come in, but at the same time, it can put someone in a position, especially if they're a female with maybe young children, where the level of flexibility required in a certain role might not marry up with that person's availability. And I think it's having that middle ground and the ability for the employer to say, okay, in order for us to foster your fantastic work environment where you can thrive and provide the best performance you possibly can, it's about easing the reins up on that a little bit, and employers allowing their staff to almost direct where they would promote the majority of their performance from. For instance, if they work better at night because they've got childcare duties during the day, allow them to do that. You know, given the nature of the role, if that's available, let them do that. And I think allowing the freedom for females to work in the best format they possibly can is massively important for employers as well.
Quite thought-provoking and good points indeed. When we refer to the Northeast tech sector, it has a significant opportunity to be a leader in promoting gender equality. What concrete actions and initiatives can companies in the region implement to create a more inclusive and equitable environment for all the genders?
Yeah, absolutely. Another great question. Great questions today. Thank you very much. So I think there are a number of strategies really that both employers and even the UK government can support with the Northeast. As you said, there's a great opportunity to become a leader, and with that opportunity comes certain strategies. So I would say to definitely begin by celebrating existing success and talent pools, especially within the internal teams at the moment. I think employers need to highlight the talent where they've got in terms of the females within their teams, celebrate their successes, celebrate their talents, and incorporate that into celebrating success more in terms of having more events like this, where it's celebrating women in tech. It's discussing those barriers, breaking down those barriers. I don't think we're ever going to achieve that unless we converse, with each other, with people in positions of power, organisations, governments. That's never going to change unless we reach the hearts of those people. With the ability to enact that change, really. Yeah, so I'd say it's massively important to celebrate successes of already existing talent, trying to create more female-led events as well, to encourage more females who suffer from the anxiety, the fear, the challenge, which is very daunting. And again, when you're creating job adverts as well, or advertisements for roles, I think using the correct language and setting that right atmosphere is ultimately important, because just as much as our CVs are that first response from employers, I think we've all heard that age-old status of employers might spend 10 seconds reading a CV, and if it doesn't grab their interest, it'll just go to the back of the pile. And I think we need to adopt the same approach. When we're analysing job adverts for ourselves, you need to look after yourself first and foremost. So if that role doesn't feel like it's going to promote your career, it's not going to give you the opportunity to really stand out above the crowd, then is that the sort of role you want to go for? So I think there's vetting on both sides needed there, really. But I think there's a lot of work employers and regionally that we can do to promote more females, to encourage them to apply for those opportunities. And once they have and they're set in, celebrate their successes. There's not enough of that goes on. And it's great to see more events like this happening now, because that is changing, I feel, in 2024. But much like with a lot of the messages from today, we're heading in the right direction, but there's still more work to do. So it's about rolling up our sleeves and all supporting with that, really.
So great questions, Rhys. You're coming up with great answers. So I look forward to all of the answers you're giving. We have also observed the rise of new technologies like artificial intelligence and blockchain, which is transforming the tech industry. How do you see these technologies impacting the opportunities for women in the Northeast tech sector? Will they create new pathways to introduce potential challenges?
Yeah, another great question. So I think there's two sides to it, really. I think with every new development, when it comes to either technology or something in the employment sector, I think that it'll bring both risks and opportunities. So the opportunities are, are fairly obvious. With the advent of new technology, there needs new personnel to be able to manage that technology, to troubleshoot, to resolve issues, to diagnose, and to improve and make sure that the user experience is always at the best it possibly can be, really. For instance, with the advent of AI, one of the more recent roles developed within that are prompt engineers. So again, that's improving the opportunities for females and anyone who wants to get into tech, really, especially from an entry-level standpoint, because obviously sometimes that's the best way into any respective industry, is by starting with an entry-level job and growing from there, climbing that ladder. Improving your skills, getting more experience, and justifying getting those higher roles as part of your journey, really. So that's some of the positives. Now, some of the risks, again, any risk can be managed. And I think with the advent of any new technology, there is an inherent risk involved. So I think the risk with, for instance, AI, with the benefit of job automation with AI, it's amazing, especially when it comes to things like coding. It can help with those massively complex tasks and make them, happen in seconds, which is amazing. It would be brilliant if the human brain could computate that quickly, but unfortunately, we've created the technology to help us do that, which is fantastic. But I think the risk that inherently can carry, if not managed properly, is that if that takes away those entry-level opportunities for people to get into tech, where does that leave those opportunities for people to get into there? Does that only leave the people at the management levels, in which case it becomes ultimately more difficult? I don't think that will result in being that situation. That's just a risk that I've thought about over the years as AI is more used. I would say the use of AI within itself now, it can be a massive support resource tool, but again, it can also provide that risk and opportunity for perhaps plagiarism a little bit. I mean, just for instance, to give you an example, with ChatGPT, which is an amazing tool and resource, and I know it's heavily used for things like job applications, application forms, written statements, and things like that, especially CV production as well. But one of the pitfalls with that, and this is something I've spent the last 2 years advising people of, is use it wisely. Always heavily edit the final product. ChatGPT is a wonderful way of making us all sound very Shakespearean, but it doesn't do the best job at making us at us coming across as a genuine, heartfelt statement or something that's written from the heart in terms of our own personal experiences. It's a better tool to be able to structure your statement or the written piece that you're trying to create, really. So just like with anything, there are risks and opportunities attached to both, and I think I'm still very excited about the advent of AI and blockchain technologies as well. As long as they're managed properly, I think it'll bring a world of opportunities. Yeah, that pretty much answers the question for there. I hope that's okay.
As an employability skills trainer myself, I certainly second that, whatever you have said, and I'm certain all the ladies out there are making note of it. Now, when it comes to building a diverse and thriving tech sector in the Northeast, a lot relies on inspiring young girls to pursue STEM fields. However, stereotypes can be a significant barrier. So considering the specific need and resources available in the Northeast schools and educational institutions, what targeted strategies can be employed to overcome these stereotypes and encourage more girls to explore and embrace exciting career possibilities in tech?
Absolutely. So one of the biggest tips I can give on that, and personally I feel that a lot of educational establishments such as schools and colleges and universities as well, I feel it would really benefit them to incorporate that knowledge of opportunity very early on. For instance, I've started speaking with some local colleges to provide some information sessions about the benefits of female in tech, the opportunities that are around, the migration of services onto new platforms, which it will incorporate new roles available in the future as well. So I think to get in there quite early with young females to inspire them, and don't leave it too late. I think if we only do that at the ages of, say, between 16 and 18, they might have already decided on a career path by then, which might not be tech, and that would be a byproduct of them feeling oh, tech might not be for me because the opportunities aren't there. You know, there's more, it's a very male dominated industry. So I think getting in there early with schools and colleges, even at the age of maybe 13, 14, just to allow them to think about it themselves and think about what they want to achieve. Do they want a career in tech? You know, not to be afraid about a career in tech. There's nothing worse than desiring that, but feeling as though, oh, I'm never going to make it because of my gender. That should never be a thought that anyone should have. I know, being honest, that is a thought some females have obviously had, hence the issue with underrepresentation with females in tech. And that troubles me. I don't like anyone, whether they're, you know, regardless of gender, I don't like anyone feeling as though they're not able to do that. You know, no one should tell themselves they haven't got the capability of doing that. So I think it's using those opportunities as an educational establishment to incorporate companies such as Prime Talent. There's Catch 22. We work with a lot of establishments to help with that. And as well, it's about finding those relatable role models and even incorporating those into education, just so that more females can understand that this might be for me. You know, it should be inspiring. It shouldn't be a fear-mongering exercise to stop people from wanting to apply for those roles. So I think to expose students at an early age to the wonderful world of tech and the opportunities, especially for females, is vastly important. And again, I think with the advent of, you know, the programs such as AWS Restart and TechUp Women as well, accessing those programs, you know, very soon after you finished your statutory education, even if you've had a gap in that education, you know, if you're a female that you've had to take time out of work, you've either moved country, you've started a family, and you might have been out of work for, you know, it could be decades, it could be a year, anywhere in between. It's never too late to start. It really isn't. You know, I've had the pleasure of working with some females of all different ages on our programme, watching them thrive and flourish into those new roles. So whether you're a young aspiring person or you feel like you're getting older and you feel as though it might be too late, it's never too late. Do the research, ask questions, find out more about it. No one will ever tell you it's too late. You know, you're in charge of your own journey, and the only limits there are placed on by yourself, so to speak. So
it would be wonderful to see more girls and women inclining towards tech careers with more self-assurance. Thank you, Rhys, and thank you, Ibtisame. I'm confident that your judgment skills have alleviated many concerns. With this, we have reached almost at the end of our discussion. Let's open the floor to questions from our curious audience members, please.
just while we're waiting for some questions, Ekta, is it okay if I just put my email in the chat, just in case anybody else wanted to reach out to me after today? I'd be more than happy to provide support and advice and guidance then if needed.
I don't think that should be a problem. Please go ahead. Thank you, Rhys.
No problem, my pleasure.
All right. So, Rhys, the first question for you. Can you share some inspiring stories of women currently making waves in the Northeast UK tech industry? And how can these stories be used to inspire the next generation of women in tech across the region?
Yes, absolutely. So I prepared sort of two examples. So I did mention one earlier. So I've had the pleasure of working alongside Professor Sue Black with Durham University. Again, I'm not going to sort of explain the whole background. I think it's an amazing story for people if they want to look her up on LinkedIn. She's an amazing presence on social media platforms, and again, her background is just awe-inspiring. And if you ever had any feelings of insecurity, you know, imposter syndrome, feeling as though you just don't have the ability to do that, I'd implore you all to listen to Sue Black's story. She's heavily involved with TechUp Women, and she's working with Durham University in the Northeast. So I would definitely advise to look up Sue Black. And then another person I'm very, very proud to introduce is a lady called Molly Smaliova. So it's been a fairly recent undertaking for Molly, but she's one of our graduates on TechUp Women. She hails from Kazakhstan originally, supremely intelligent, speaks 5 languages, which I'm absolutely amazed by. I speak 2, but I wouldn't say I'm perfect in any one of them. So for someone to speak 5, I think it's just amazing. We've had the pleasure of working with Molly since 2023. And part of the programme with TechUp Women, and some of our biggest partners are the very, very kind company Nominet who funded the provision, as well as the Institute of Coding. And Molly has not only graduated from TechUp Women, whilst being pregnant with her 3rd child, and even after giving birth to her child, she's still been attending, events, and she's now secured a role as an ambassador for the Institute of Coding, where she travels the UK, has a massive presence on social media platforms in promoting the importance of women in tech as well. So again, I would highly promote any sort of eager people on the call to look up Molly Smaliova. I'll put the name in the chat as well now, just in case you need the correct spelling of that. She's present on LinkedIn, extremely friendly, happy to answer any questions, and Molly really is a trendsetter, paving the way for more women into tech at the moment. So those would be my 2 best examples to give out on the call today, and I'll just put the names on the chat as well, just in case they're of interest of anybody.
Yes, please. We have more inquiries.
There you go. I've just shared those in the chat then.
Thank you. So another question for you, Rhys. Many professionals, particularly women, often feel concerned about career gaps. Now, this is often due to a strong sense of duty that leads to take extended breaks from the work. What advice would you give to these women when they are looking to restart their careers or transition into tech?
Yeah, that's a great question. Thank you for that. So again, I've had a lot of experience, especially recently, working on the amazing TechUp Women programme, where ideally it's catered for women in that position. Whether you're a young female looking to gain some skills and enter into the tech sector, or someone that might have been out of work for a long time, with a gap in your history. So I can completely sympathise if you're worried about that. Again, I'll refer back to some of the tips I mentioned earlier. It's about researching what opportunities are out there, what support is out there, and then gauging if that's suitable for you. And then grab those opportunities with both hands. Don't let them go. That could be the turning point in your journey at the moment to establishing a brand new career. Again, just to give you an example, I mean, as part of my work on TechUp Women, we also enlist the support of employers. So that could be whether it's a mentor person, and more recently, to give you one great example, I enlisted the support of a Liverpool-based PlayStation 5 games developer called Lucid Games. And one of the very, very kind members of staff was an amazing lady called Nicola Disley. She's a lead international programmer on one of their newest franchises called Sea of Thieves, which is a pirate game. My stepson is a massive gamer. As soon as I told him about this, I was Father of the Year in my household. For that one day, he soon forgot about me after that day, to be honest, but it was a nice feeling while it lasted. And from that amazing insight session, Nicola gave some great insights into what challenges she faced on a day-to-day basis, what her job looks like day to day, the dynamic nature of it, the pitfalls, the tips and guidance of how to succeed in that role. And it was amazing to see that within 2 weeks of that, one of our learners then gained an amazing role with another tech company in the UK and a new and upcoming tech company. And since then, I've been in liaising with them about further support for other females as well. And you might not be a gamer inherently, but that's just one example of the type of employers that we can get on as well. And so it's listening to people in those positions that can offer the skills and guidance which might be relevant to your position. In terms of having those feelings of inadequacy or nerves just based on there being a gap in your employment, again, I totally sympathise with that. There are ways around promoting your skills as opposed to emphasizing the fact that you've been out of work or had a gap in your history. Employers should always be looking at your skills and what value you can bring to the table. We've got some great support guidance available on, creating a new technical CV, how to incorporate and how to explain gaps in your history. I'd always say be honest about it, but convey that in a way that highlights your skills and your ability to succeed. Again, if you'd like some more information on that, I'd be more than happy to speak to you about that, so feel free to reach out to me on email as well, everyone. But I hope that helps you, and I hope that helps you on your journey as well to becoming a woman in tech. So thank you for that question. It's a great question.
Thank you. I have another question here, and the questions are pouring in. I hope I'll be able to pose all those questions to you. Hi, I am a self-learner in tech, and I have been struggling to get a job in tech since I arrived in UK. I just applied to the TechUp despite my age being outside of the 18 to 40 range. I wonder if it's possible for me to get accepted. If not, is there any other programs I could look into?
Absolutely, yes. So if you're a current application for TechUp Women, but you've just fallen out of the age criteria, I do sincerely apologise. I'm not a fan of saying to anyone, you're not eligible for this, you're not eligible for that. But we do have some great news. We do have other programmes which aren't either gender specific and have no age requirements as well, and they're all centred around digital skills. So we do have another great programme called Digital Edge, which is in full partnership with Microsoft. So I would implore you to get the Catch22 website up on your internet browser. That'll just be catch22.org.uk. A quick Google search will direct you to the right website as well. And if you search for Digital Edge, there'll be some great information on there about how Digital Edge can support you on your journey to a role within the tech industry as well. But failing that, obviously, please use my email address, and I can always refer you on to my counterparts that are working on that project as well. I love working with people, and I always want to make sure that I'm always at least signposting someone to the right provision. And I think it's important for anyone in our positions to do that. So I'd be delighted to obviously help you and support you with that as well. It's a great question. Thank you for that.
Then we have another question, Rhys. Given the progress in AI-assisted tech, what roles do you think job seekers will need to align to? What kind of tech skills will make them suitable for employment?
Absolutely, another great question. So again, with the implementation of AI, there are prompt engineers, and they're quite common roles now available with AI. I do feel that will change over time, because I think that AI is evolving quite quickly, perhaps maybe a little bit quicker than what the UK economy in terms of the employment aspect can sort of keep up with. But those prompt engineers are great roles, because they are sort of few and far between in terms of the amount of AI platforms out there at the moment. So by making yourself invaluable, by gaining those skills, would really help with your future endeavours to sustain, not just start, but sustain in a role in tech as well. Again, I'd say learning the different coding languages as well would also be very important. With TechUp Women, we support people, we support the females with learning skills in the Python coding language, but there are other languages out there as well. So I'd say skill yourself up on with any availability that you have. Skill yourself up on those if possible. Research any digital boot camps. Again, we can support you in TechUp Women. I'm sure the Prime Talent team can support you on AWS Restart as well, especially if you want to go into cloud services. So yeah, so I begin with a simple answer of the prompt engineers for AI, but then you've always got the coding element as well in terms of managing AI, how it behaves, which again is going to be vastly important as we try to mitigate risks with AI. So again, that will be involved in cyber security, which would be another interesting aspect to go along as well. And this just shows how important AI will and has become in the UK economy and society now, because it's dripping into all seams of life, whether that be our jobs, our technology that we use, our devices, our account on digital platforms. AI can be involved with all of that, so I think it's supremely important and a great opportunity to gain those skills and really secure yourself and future-proof yourself for a job as well.
Thank you, that is perfect. Another question, please. I am a man in tech who wants to become a mentor for young women entering the field. What should I keep in mind to be an effective and supportive mentor for women in tech? And how can I encourage more men to take on mentorship roles?
That's amazing to hear. Thank you so much. Great question as well. So we do provide mentors on TechUp Women, but we're always on the lookout for more mentors. So again, if you're interested in offering those services, I'd love to speak to you about it. In terms of how to present yourself as the best mentor, I think you confirming what skills you can provide with confidence. And I think strangely, from a human perspective, even though you might be working with a mentor, even your mentor can suffer from a little bit of lack of confidence at times. You know, we're all human. We're all guilty of having those feelings of inadequacy. So again, you know, if you've suffered, you know, anxiety or even imposter syndrome in the past, that has no inkling on you becoming a great mentor. I think some of the best mentors also struggle with barriers like that as well. And that again shows their resilience, you know, or your resilience and how you convey that to your mentee. So just being honest about your skills, being honest about your experiences, and being supportive and having an open line of communication as a mentor as well. I think that's supremely important, because the last thing as a mentor that you want to achieve is making that mentee or that person feel as though they can't approach you. You know, as a mentor, you know, the person who needs that support at the time or needs that advice and guidance, the thing that they need the most is an opportunity and an open line of communication to speak with someone who's got the information and the confidence to guide them through that challenge. So just make yourself available, be honest about your skills and what you can offer. And I think having a bit of a collaborative approach with it as well. You know, being a mentor doesn't always mean you're just telling the person what to do. It's a bit of a collaboration as well, you know, because we're people, everyone has a preference of who they deal with. If someone's particularly chatty, they might not gel well with someone who's extremely quiet, but then it's about meeting that right balance as well. So again, you know, don't be afraid about being honest about the type of person that you might especially build really great rapport with as well. So I hope that answers your question. And I think that's a great question with you wanting to be an aspiring mentor. It's great to hear. And if you did have any further questions, again, please reach out to me. I'll be happy to help you after today.
Very encouraging words, Rhys. Thank you for those. I think this is the last question we'll be able to take for today. I'm a woman with a tech background looking to start my own tech company. For women interested in launching their own tech startups, what resources or networks would you recommend to get started and find support in the Northeast?
That's an amazing question, and well done for being a startup and a female in tech as well. I mean, something I didn't mention earlier from one of the great questions, Hector, was, you know, specifically in the Northeast, you know, why is there that level of underrepresentation of females in tech? And from doing a little bit of research before today as well, unfortunately, over the years, I think there has been a number of failed opportunities where females have tried to start up in tech. And because of that status, I think that sometimes can discourage other females from wanting to do that, especially if if you see someone failing before you. Does that fill you with confidence when it's your turn, or does it put you off from trying that opportunity? So it's great to hear you taking that challenge up, and well done. And I'm sure you'll succeed and thrive as well. And you know, even if you don't succeed at the very first hurdle, it's just about being resilient and sticking it out and trying it as best as possible, changing things where needed, really. In terms of the resources available to you, I'd say there are more resources available now in 2024 than there was before. So as well as accessing the support available through, you know, provisions such as TechUp Women, AWS Restart as well, the government do have some resources to help with that. So I'd always speak to your local job centre if that's feasible. They might have some grants and funding available on that. You can always research that on gov.uk, on the government website as well. Again, feel free to email me and I can pass on some any tips and guidance and any links as well that I might have. As well as that, it's also speaking to professional bodies such as, you know, Catch 22. We not only work within tech, but we also work in different divisions across the UK government, such as criminal justice, experienced care leavers with young people as well. And again, a lot of, you know, charities such as Catch 22, even Prime Talent may have some links for you as well, where there are some organisations that might have pots of funding and resources and support available for you as an aspiring startup. It's supremely important, especially within the UK economy, that residents across the country can see that when people are starting up their own organisations and companies, that they're thriving and they're succeeding. The last thing I want anybody to feel within the UK, doesn't matter where you're from or what background you've got, is that people would be too fearful of starting their own companies. You know, it's great that we've got tech giants. It's great that we've got, you know, giant organisations and corporations across the world. But I think it would be quite a sad world if people felt as though they would never succeed in starting their own business. So that's why it's so important that you get the support you need to do that and for you to thrive, and that'll encourage more females to thrive in that as well. And hopefully, you know, if you thrive, which I'm sure you will, you know, this is geared obviously towards the person who's asked the question. I'm sure you will thrive given your hard work. But again, if you can impart that knowledge on other females for the next generation so that they can also do the same and thrive, then that would be an amazing position to be in, especially if you've been the driving change behind that as well. So I hope that answers your question, and I wish you the best of luck with your new startup as well. I'm sure you'll succeed, and well done for taking on the challenge.
I'm sure your answer is well appreciated, Rhys and Ibtisame. It has been a pleasure, truly. It was enlightening to have you with us. Thank you for your time. Dear viewers, for any further query and question, kindly mail us at info@primetalent.com. My apologies to all those whose questions I couldn't address due to the time constraint. Nevertheless, please write to us at info@primetalent.com and we shall get back to you. Also, you can visit our website www.primetalent.com. Thank you and have a lovely day ahead. Thank you, Rhys. Thank you, Ibtisame.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure. Have a good afternoon, everyone.
Likewise.
Thank you. Have a good afternoon. Bye-bye. Bye.